the south side of One World Trade Center. This is kind of like I said, a static shot that we're showing you from one of our cameras located in Lower Manhattan right now. You can see visibility on the right side of your screen is a big factor. The weather playing a significant role here in our ability to kind of get in any closer or circle the building to see exactly what type of situation the workers are in right now. We do know that the NYPD, the FDNY, Port Authority are all on the scene right now as rescue operations are underway on this south side of the building as we look to see exactly what mode of rescue will be used to bring these two window washers who are trapped on this scaffolding 68 floors above the ground at One World Trade Center.
Elise Finch has joined us now, and we're talking about the outside conditions, wind, visibility. Elise, could you go over that for us?
Absolutely. So visibility is probably one of the bigger factors today. As we take a look at this picture, we can see obviously significant cloud cover. We have lots of low clouds, and we did have a dense fog advisory that was in effect across parts of the tri-state area earlier today. Now, that dense fog advisory was allowed to expire, but that doesn't mean that there aren't still pockets of dense fog. So this is what we're dealing with now. We've got the decreased visibility. In some cases, it's less than 3 miles, and so we're looking at that decreased visibility. That's one of the reasons why the choppers are not allowed to go up right now. So that's one of the things we're looking at. Of course, the wind becomes another factor. As we take a look now, the wind profile has been relatively mild. If you're at street level, we're talking 5 to 10 mile per hour winds. As we go up, we are still talking about winds that at this point are roughly 15 miles per hour. So not a significant wind day, but of course the clouds become an issue. The other thing that actually works in their favor is the temperatures that we're dealing with today, because we do have a nice mild day. That's the good news, an unusually mild day for November. So we're talking about temperatures right now that are, for the most part, we're in right around the low 60s at street level. As you go up to about 1,000 feet, now that temperature drops down to about 56 degrees. As you head to 2,000 feet, that temperature drops to closer to 54 degrees, just to give you an idea. But still, we're not talking about freezing temperatures. That's a plus. And of course, because we don't have a windy day like we did just a couple of days ago, we're also, that helps. In this particular instance.
Also, what was it, around 12, quarter of, it was raining.
Yes.
Was it raining in Lower Manhattan as well?
We've continued to have some drizzle and some light rain across the area, so that is also an issue. One of the things that happens is when we take a look from these cameras, which we often do during our weathercast, when we have issues with the winds, you can actually see the camera itself shaking. That's something we're not seeing today, so that is a help, of course, as they are sort of dangling at this point. And as we take a look at that wider picture that you see there, you can see that the clouds, at least a little bit, are starting to break up. That's a plus, and hopefully we can get some of those rescue helicopters in the air sooner rather than later.
Yeah, just something to reassure these guys, if they don't know already, that help is on the way and that everyone is fully aware of the situation they're in right now. We're approaching 1:25 here. This call coming in, Elise, thank you very much, and we'll get back to you in a couple of moments. This call coming in at 12:45. These window washers who apparently were done washing the windows that they were sent to clean were working on the ascent back up the building at One World Trade Center, the symbolic 1,776-foot building in Lower Manhattan right now, just opening to Condé Nast and some of their employees under 2 weeks ago. And now this situation, again, 12:45 this afternoon, the call coming in, the south side of the building here. That's where this scaffolding that you see that is dangling in the way it is dangling right now, that call came in, and we were able to get these live pictures as we wait for this rescue mission to get underway here with the FDNY, the NYPD, and the Port Authority police, all of whom are on the scene right now trying to figure out how are we going to get these two workers safely inside the building. So what do? Do you start from the roof and work your way down, kind of along the lines of what the window washers were doing to begin with? Or do you have to take out some of these windows and bring them in? Either way, this is going to take a while.
And also just getting our bearings straight, when we talk about the south side, that is the side looking down into the reflecting pools. The south side looking out at the footprints of One World Trade and Two World Trade. And so it makes you wonder, too, with the visibility, if you're on the ground, can you see if it's 68 floors up? That's a bit of a tough one, not being there.
Yeah.
I would imagine that people do can see something depending on whether, and again, we're getting some of these passing clouds. So even as we take a look at that larger box that we have there on the screen, and there are times when we look at it, it almost looks like the sun is coming out. And as we look at it right now, it looks incredibly gray, incredibly dark. I would imagine as the clouds are moving, yes, people on the ground will alternately be able to perhaps see that scaffolding at times.
Well,
look. at the top of that, Chris, and Elise.
Okay, we see someone waving. And Dan, I can tell you this, on my Twitter feed right now, there are some people that are visiting the memorial and museum right now that are tweeting me pictures from the ground level of exactly what's going on. But we do see some movement here for the first time since we've been live here for a greater part of the last 45 minutes. These two rescue workers that are hanging precariously above the One World Trade Center on the 68th floor right now. You can see a hand top of your screen right there looking. Dana, it looks like they're trying to make some signal of some sort.
Signals. Glenn Corbett on the phone with us from John Jay University. Also just seeing people, Chris, on the middle right of the screen, people inside the building. Good afternoon and welcome back, Glenn. Can you help us, just your thoughts on what we're observing, maybe in the language more appropriate exactly to what's going on there?
Yeah, sure. I think you can see some, as you say, some movement inside the building. They're obviously trying to communicate with the workers either through the windows or perhaps, hopefully, these folks got walkie-talkies or something like that. And they're going to devise a plan to take these windows out. We got to remember that this is the tallest building in the country, and basically, you know, we've got a situation in which the glazing or the glass on the outside of the building actually might be a little bit thicker, a little bit more substantial perhaps than normal. This is certainly not plate glass. This is probably glass that's several layers. It has some laminates inside. So, but the firefighters, again, are trained for this, and they'll have the appropriate equipment to basically cut through it. As your earlier caller mentioned, to basically take it out in section so it doesn't endanger any people, and then they'll be able to bring them in, secure them, and then bring them through the window.
And pardon me, at John Jay College, Glenn, to properly say your place of employment and from where your expertise comes. Popping out the glass, what does that entail? Especially, well, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, they'll have special cutters, glass cutters, basically, and so they'll cut out the frame. It's probably quicker, typically, to do that in this situation. It would be to actually take the whole frame out. So they'll actually cut within the frame, cut the glass out in a section or sections, and then then they'll be able to secure the folks that are outside basically directly. They'll do that before they actually even try to move them, because of course you don't want anyone to fall in the midst of trying to bring them through the window. So it's a very methodical process. It's been done many times over the years, and the FDNY is the best at doing this. So like I said, I'm sure this is going to have a very successful outcome here. And it may take a while, though, because all these things, again, you have to get all the equipment in place, you have to get the right personnel, and all those things do take time. So it might go for another hour, perhaps.
Well, Glenn, my question to you is just, I mean, I know under normal circumstances, okay, we cut the glass, pop the glass out, but I'm sure this glass is probably a little different. I know all of the construction on this building is not the type of construction you find on your average skyscraper, correct?
Yeah, it's especially on the higher floors and things like that. You know, one of the issues on any new high-rise, particularly very tall ones, is they have to do wind studies, basically, to see how the wind will affect the building, and not only that building, but buildings surrounding it, basically. So there's a lot of engineering that goes into this, and so the glass and the glazing, the glass on the outside of the building will be part of that engineering design. You know, we got to remember too that New York City is susceptible to hurricanes from time to time and things like that, so we certainly don't want those to break under really any circumstances. And of course, this being a terrorist target, glass is even more important. So there's a lot of focus that was placed on the glass, and I don't know enough about it specifically in the upper floors, but I would imagine that the design engineers certainly had to consider that when they designed the building.
The city also letting us know that the streets below are blocked off while emergency crews are gathered there to send people into the building, but also to keep an eye from the street level. So that's important to know if you're heading down to that area. You just can't drive around there. Let the emergency workers do their work.